Steve Peters from ESPN and Inside the Coaches Room joins us as he does every week on the show. And today, PD, we are talking about the Minnesota Wild. And we'll start with the lack of 5-on-5 scoring, probably the most concerning sign for this team. And I'll give you sort of a multiple choice kind of style question here. Is this just players fighting through a slump? Is this a roster composition issue? Is this a coaching issue?
I think it's all of the above, and that's a really bad sign for the Minnesota Wild because you start looking at this 5-on-5 goal where they're at right now. They're 32nd in the league. This is a team that's talented up front. They have high-skilled players. They got Kaprizov, Boldy, Rossi. They should be doing better 5-on-5, but you go look historically, last season they were 29th. Year before that, they were 25th. Year before that, they were 30th. This is a team over the last 4 years. If you take all of the stats, they're 29th. There's only 3 teams that have scored fewer 5-on-5 goals since 22, and that's San Jose, Anaheim, and Chicago. So this is a Minnesota team that has struggled to score for years.
So, PD, like with this squad, like, is it a personnel issue? Like, you know, because you have that Kaprizov contract, right? You have this big deal, high expectations. I think everyone who goes out there and plays, they're going to be comparing him to everybody in the league. So what? Is this a depth issue for them? Like, where do they go from here to try to get this team going 5-on-5?
Yeah, I think it's a concern. And I think when you look at what's going on with Billy Guerin and you finally get rid of the Kaprizov and Suter deals, and all I've heard about Minnesota for years is just wait till those guys are off the books and then this team's going to blow up and be a Stanley Cup contender. Well, they're not. And they just burden themselves with the most expensive contract in hockey. So I don't know how much room he's going to have over the years to build that depth, because we all know that if you're going to win and win consistently, you need to have guys that can play up and down the lineup. And this Minnesota Wild team right now, they're top heavy. They did break up the Boldy and Kaprizov off their top line because they're trying to spread out the scoring, and that's not working. So yeah, I do think there's a roster issue, and more importantly with their roster, you look at their back end. And this is a back end that has really been driven by Jared Spurgeon for years. He's 36. He's minus 12, and he has 1 5-on-5 point. If you're going to create offense in the National Hockey League, it has to start with your back end. You've got to be. Montreal's got 33 points from the back end. Minnesota's got 18. You have to be able to get the puck to the net, and you've got to be able to transport the puck up the ice. And right now, the Minnesota Wild's back end isn't contributing to the offense like they need to be.
So, Petey, for me, like the fact that their back end, right? So we talk about their back end and their structure. You know, is it worrisome they gave Philip Gustafsson that contract? And then you have Jesper Wallstad, who hasn't done good. He's kind of an unproven first-round pick, right? His numbers aren't great. He hasn't really got the job done when he's had a chance in the NHL, and they give him the backup job just because he's somebody's baby as a pick. Is this worrisome where it gets to the point where, can we even play this kid? Like, how long do they go with this until they go and try to find somebody else that can be a steady backup?
Yeah, so the problem gets worse because they're not only not scoring, but they're not stopping the puck. And you look at what Gustafsson did a year ago. After his first 20 starts a year ago, he was first in goals against at a 199, and he was second in save percentage at 931. This year, 342 goals against and an 890. That's not good enough. Like, Gustafsson is not stopping the pucks. Not only the hard, high danger shots, he's not stopping the shots he's supposed to stop. And Wallstad's numbers are worse than that. And so you're looking at a team that really needs to get saved by their goaltender. And Hutz, you've been on teams like that. Like, you're struggling to score. You need your goaltender to steal you a game. And you need to help get that confidence so you can get back on track. That's not happening with Minnesota. They are not scoring, and they're giving up way too many goals on the other end of the ice. Minnesota's a mess right now, and there is trouble brewing in Minnesota.
So I'm looking at John Hynes here, and again, he's in his now, well, it's basically been 2.5 seasons since he took over. This is the second season, and, you know, they lost in round 1 last year. They missed the playoffs the season he took over from Dean Evason. There are a lot of new coaches in the NHL, and it's weird how much turnover there was over the last 12 to 18 months in so many other benches. Do you look at Evason as a guy who's maybe the first coach on the hot seat this year? Or sorry,
Evason? Yeah, Evason is probably Evason. Honestly, that's probably a mistake. You look at what Evason did for this team. He was a player's coach. Guys like him, but he could also coach himself into the X's and O's part of the game. I think he was a big addition to Columbus and why they're doing so well. You look at what John Hynes has done, man. And I'm not here to criticize coaches. I'm not. I'm just going to pull out statistics. In New Jersey, he made the playoffs once in 5 years. You go to Nashville, a team that was still competing perennially for a playoff spot. he didn't win a playoff round and missed the playoffs 2 of his 4 years. So yeah, there's a concern. There's a concern on John Hynes, and I'd put him right in one of the warmest seats in the National Hockey League right now. I did talk early about John Cooper, and I know John Cooper is got cups and all that in Tampa, but you just wait in Tampa. There's still some issues there. Minnesota's going to be first on the list. John Hynes right now, he's not inspiring the players that need to be playing at their best. He's not inspiring that kind of confidence. There's a concern, and this is a team that's not generating off the rush. They're not getting, I know they're getting good high danger shot opportunities, but this is a team that's got to play with speed and pace, and they're not doing it right now. So yes, you're going to have to look at what they're doing structure wise, and that falls on the coach.
Petey, for me, what do you think the leash would be on him in like a season like this, where you gave him Kaprizov that contract in a tough Central Division? Like, where is Hynes' leash? Like, how long are they going to let this go? Because it feels like a daunting task to fall behind in the Central and even try to catch up for a team like Minnesota, who hasn't had playoff success, outside of the first round.
Yeah, I think it's short. And I don't think, I think when you go back a decade, you could see a coach like this and go, oh, they'll let him finish out the year. Billy Guerin's under a lot of pressure here in Minnesota. Minnesota expects to win. You sign Kaprizov to that a huge deal, so you want him to carry the mail. I think Billy Guerin's under pressure, and when a general manager is under that kind of pressure to succeed and make the playoffs, he puts that same pressure right back onto the head coach. And so I don't think this is something that Minnesota is going to wait forever. I do think there are a couple of things when you look at Minnesota. Their shooting percentage right now is last in the league. It means that's not going to be sustainable. They're going to score more goals. And I do think that they will get a little better. They're fourth in shots on goal. They've got high danger shots. They're second. So they are going to score more. But if you don't see this starting to turn around by the first of the year, meaning that they're in striking distance of a playoff spot by the first of the year, I would think that this is the team prime for a coaching change, because you go back to St. Louis that was last to first when you get the Berube bump. That may be something they do in Minnesota. I don't think that this will last forever. If they're not around it by the first of the year, I would expect them to make a move.
And again, with how many coaching changes there have been over the last 12 to 18 months, there's some quality names out there on the market as well. Before we let you go, Petey, obviously you have a connection to the Arizona Coyotes. What do you make of the Logan Cooley extension in Utah?
It's funny. I listened to what you guys had to say, and I talked to some people after he turned down the previous deal at just over $9 million. And with you see the Kaprizov deal and what direction this is going. Good grief. Like, this kid 5 years from now, this is going to be a phenomenal contract for the Utah Mammoth. I would bet on myself and see this going like a 3, 4, 5 year deal. Get my money now, but get it again before I hit 30. I think it's great for Utah. Utah and Bill Armstrong have done an outstanding job of locking up their young core for a very long time. And I think that's surprising right now, where you see where the salaries are headed. Look out for Utah. And I didn't have them as a playoff team this year. I think they're for real. I think they are going to be a team that finishes 7th to 9th this year still. I don't think they're going to finish top 3 in the Central. I still think there's too much pressure on down below. But once they make the playoffs, this is a team that's going to be in the playoff year after year after year. It's a great signing by Bill Armstrong.
Steve, as always, appreciate your time. Thanks for popping on.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Hey, hockey fans, if you enjoyed that video, then make sure you hit the subscribe button right here on the Daily Faceoff YouTube. We have you covered for everything you need. Exclusive interviews on The Sheet with Jeff Merrick, all the latest hockey news on Daily Faceoff Live, and you can always get your morning started with Johnny Lazarus and Colby Cohn on Morning Cup of Hockey. Don't miss a minute. Hit that subscribe button.